Hi, I'm Shirella. Now, you know this, you must follow the rules, right? Except, I was talking to my friend one time several years ago, and I was saying something about, well, this is what the rule is. And she said, oh, do you follow the rule? And I was like, of course I do. Who doesn't? Aren't we like good, upstanding, righteous people to follow the rule? And she said, oh, I'm not a rule follower. I just do what feels right. And I thought, that is how our society gets all messed up when everyone just does whatever they feel is right. Well, a little while back, I went to a conference at a university for a week, and they said, you must park because we had some housing. And they said, you have to park all the way over here, like 3 or 4 blocks from the housing. You must park way up here in this general parking. Yet there was this parking that was right next to the place where I was going to be staying. And I thought, why not just park there? So I actually did just park right there. And I thought, well, I'm probably going to get a ticket, but oh well, it's worth it because to get all my stuff from the car to the building was a lot of walking, a lot of effort. And I thought it might be worth the ticket that they might give me. And I was going to park there the whole week. So I did park there and I had no problems at all. So then year after year, I've gone to this conference, and every time I park there and realize I might get a ticket because they told me to park way up here, like 3 or 4 blocks away from where I'm staying. And I've never got a ticket yet. And I think, why do they even tell us that we need to follow this rule if it's not really even a rule because they don't even enforce it, and I've never gotten in trouble, and everybody else does it. The poor people who actually follow the rules are way up there in that parking that's so far away. So what I say is there is always an exception to the rule, right? It kind of depends on your position, your authority, your income, your ignorance. Well, I didn't know. I didn't know that you were not supposed to park over here, so I just did. How many people plead ignorance? And sometimes the punishment is just not worth it. If I don't get a ticket ever for parking there, I might just get a slap on my wrist if sometimes someone finds out and says, oh, you're parking in the wrong place. Give me your wrist so I can slap it. You think about this when people have doors that are locked. The locked door is for the honest, right? It's letting the people who don't want the honest people to get in, because otherwise, if you want something bad enough, you're going to break the locks, right? Also, people break the rules, and they are those who get ahead, while the rest of us are standing in line. They cut the line, they go to the front, they know somebody, they have more money, whatever it is, and they get ahead. I remember one time I have this uncle who is just a very awesome, loving guy, and he was a professor at a university, and he had tried to get grant money for this big machine that was going to help the engineering department. And he lobbied for this grant for years and years. And he finally got this huge machine. This is like 30 years ago, back when computers were so big they couldn't fit through a door. And that's exactly what happened. So he finally got this machine and he was so excited. And he was going to show it to the kids the next day, and he told them it was coming. And he just had to bring the machine into the building and they would be able to use it the next day. And so when he got to the university and to his office and to the classroom, he realized that the computer was not going to fit through the door. So he just took out his power tools and cut a bigger door so that he could fit the computer through it. And then the next day, everyone was just so happy to see the new treasure he had received from this grant. And then he had to go to the authorities and say, oh, sorry, I cut a hole into the door to make it bigger. I didn't know what else to do. I'm sorry. And of course, what can they say? They can't really say anything at that point. And so he just got away with it, right? So he broke the rule of not messing with property. And he was able to get the thing that he wanted in there, even though some people were probably really mad later. But so you might just break that rule to get ahead or to just get the thing that you want. And people will try to break the rule unless they're going to get caught. And oftentimes they don't get caught. Like I've never been caught for parking in the place that I talked about that I was not supposed to. So rules are not fair for those who keep them, who are sitting there waiting in line while everyone else gets ahead. I actually think that rules are mainly for liability, because if you do get caught and have something enforced, then you can't try to sue somebody. And so the rules actually stop you. Think about this property, do not trespass over this property. Well, generally people might, unless they get caught. And then if that's the case, then they can be sued. So I think that rules are for liability. I hate to say this, but tell me if you don't agree that rules kind of just, they don't help you get ahead. They are for the most honest of people, and they are they who will still be waiting in line. Maybe it's worth it to get the parking ticket because, like I said, you're okay with walking a far distance or you're not okay with walking the far distance, and so you're okay with paying the $50 parking ticket. So rule breakers get ahead. They make discoveries because they've broken rules. They change constitutions. They get promotions, and they are daring. For example, think about the founding fathers of the United States. They would not follow the English. And they're like, hey, wait, you can't keep us under your control. So we're going to revolt and we're going to have wars, and you can't keep us from following your rules. So these George Washington, Abraham Lincoln people that we totally revere were rule breakers. The founding fathers, all the people that fought for us, even though we totally admire and revere them, Paul revered them, they were rule breakers. You have to admit there's a rebellious excitement that comes from breaking the rule. For example, when my big sister got married, my mom was standing there in the reception line, and she kind of could see that I was kind of looking over at my sister's car. And my mom says, "Don't you dare decorate her car." And I was in this part of life where decorating cars at receptions was what you did. Who wants to sit in the stuffy reception inside? We want to go outside and use all of our fun stuff to decorate up the car. And I said, "I'm going to go decorate the car." And my mom said, "Don't you dare." And I said, "I'm going to go do it." So I didn't lie to her. I didn't say, "Okay, Mom, I won't." And then I did. I just went and I did it. I broke that rule that my mom had set, and it felt awesome. It felt great to decorate up the car, and my sister was mad because she didn't want people messing with her car, and I said, who cares? You're getting married. This is what people do. It's just sort of like an initiation. It's just what people do. So there is a rebellious excitement, you have to admit. In the end, a rule tells us how bad we want something. How bad do we want to get to the front of the line? How bad do we want to get through the locked door? How bad do we want the promotion? Well, like I said, there's an exception to every rule. Don't kill unless you kill and then you will be killed. Abortion is never okay unless it's for a case of rape or incest. You must have insurance unless you don't, and then we'll make everything okay for you. You must knock on a closed door unless someone is inside there committing suicide. You must tell the truth unless it's really going to hurt somebody else. You must go to the meeting, unless you can't, and then we'll just take notes and send you the PowerPoint. It's okay, you can miss it. You must not hack into the system, unless you become such a good hacker that you can then stop the hackers. You cannot have cell phones, but everyone's glad when that moment came when you needed a cell phone, and there it was. You must wait in line, unless you're rich enough. You must follow the commandments until or unless God tells you otherwise. Like, don't kill this person, and now it's okay to go to war. So, in the end, what do we say about rule breaking? As I said, I was a rule follower most of my life until I realized everyone was walking over me, jumping ahead, you name it. People were getting what I was not getting. So now what do? I go back to what my friend said, and she says, I just do what feels right. I follow my heart, and hopefully my heart's in the right place. I follow my gut, that instinct that says, move ahead in line. You're never going to get ahead if you just keep staying in this one spot and everyone keeps feeling ahead of you. And then I try to follow God's spirit in communion with my spirit so that I know what truth is, because rules really have no bearing anymore. Do you agree? What do you think of inside when I say this? How does it make you feel? How do you react? Well, make that decision for yourself. I'll tell you, there'll always be an exception. So if you like to talk about things like this, I'm going to call this self-care, because watching out for yourself and covering your back is a form of self-care. And I have a program that you may like that is a 91-day app-based program that talks about your self-care, your good health, from what you eat to how you move your body. And you can find that by going to www.honeydew.healthin91.com. Please like and subscribe so that more people can see this kind of thing.